This is Bruce Gifford. He is clinically brain dead. He has seen a sequel to one of the worst animated films to come out in recent years, Norm of the North, Keys to the Kingdom. Thankfully, we do have the technology to map his brain. And maybe, through technology, we can fix what he has lost. If we wanted to, we could even erase the horrible memories of Norm of the North, Keys to the Kingdom. But we do need him to review the movie, so what would be the fun in that if we just erased it all from his memory? Keanu, boot the mapping sequence. Norm of the North, Keys to the Kingdom. Yes, they made a sequel. And if the trailers are to be believed, this actually got some theatrical release. It may have been only a couple of theaters, but some theaters out there got this movie. Thankfully, my town didn't get it, but that also meant that I had to see this through other means, such as finding it on iTunes. Hooray! Not only is this movie the sequel to Norm of the North, this is also Norm of the North 3. It is 2 and 3. It is 2 short movies combined to make one movie. I'm not joking. This is Norm of the North 2 and Norm of the North 3 packaged as Norm of the North 2. Now, when I described Norm of the North back when it came out, the plot was horrible. The plot was dumb. And just telling the plot, anyone could realize just how dumb this movie is. This movie manages to be even dumber. So what's the plot of this film? Well, Norm is king now, king of the Arctic. And for some reason, the mayor of New York City wants to give Norm keys to the kingdom. Keys to the city. Keys to the Kingdom is the title of the movie. So the mayor wants to give Norm the key to the city to honor him because Norm is king of the Arctic and a talking polar bear.
Good afternoon. Today is a great day. First off, I'd like to thank our great sponsors, Far North Water, the purest water there is. Water from so far north, it might as well be from heaven. As leader of the greatest human city on earth, it only makes sense that I would present to you someone of similar stature. I would like to introduce an individual of great honesty, of great courage, a respected dignitary, the King of the Arctic. Folks, you already know him as Norm of the North.
And so Norm goes back to New York with his son, and his son can also speak human, conveniently. And Norm gets the keys to the kingdom, the keys to the city, and gets to do a speech in front of the crowd. Unfortunately, someone robs banks in New York City dressed as a polar bear. And so, of course, Norm gets framed. And Norm has to now catch the burglar, catch the thief, and prove he's innocent. That's the first movie. The second movie is about a bunch of Russians that want to steal ice from Antarctica, from the North Pole, in order to make pure bottled water from ice in the Arctic.
Prime Minister of Technekistan, it is my job to deliver my people coldest, freshest, purest water in the world. That is why we get our H2Os from the North Poles. Does not get more purer than that. Am I right?
And so now Norm has to stop these evil Russians from stealing ice from the Arctic. And how do they do it? Well, by challenging the Russians to a hockey match. Of course. That's Norm of the North, Keys to the Kingdom. And I watched this crap. When I was suffering through this movie, because suffering is the only way to describe viewing this movie. I mean, it's even worse than the first Norm of the North. The first Norm of the North, it was boring, it was stupid. I don't think I could successfully say that I was struggling or suffering from the movie. I was suffering watching this film. I felt as though my brain cells were dying as I was watching this movie. But let's talk about the good first, because that's what I usually like to start off with my movie reviews. And what good can I say about Norm of the North, Keys to the Kingdom? Well, animation-wise, the animals have fur, and you can see their fur. And when it comes to the physics, it's wonky, but their ears move when their head moves, and humans' hair wafts a little. That's all I got. That's all I got for the good. There is nothing good about this movie. Everything about this movie is dumb, it's boring, it's irritating. I was suffering as I watched this film. I felt like I was dying as I was watching this film. And I'm going to have to do it again, because I know that the only way to describe this movie in detail is to do a long review of it by going through all the movie and showing just how stupid, just how dumb this is. But at least other people will suffer through it as I watch the whole film and show most of the film to you guys. That way you can suffer through it as well. I guess I could take some comfort in that. I mean, do I really need to go into detail with the plot, just how stupid it is? I mean, I think giving the description of the plot, and given the fact that this is a sequel to Norm of the North, is enough to show just how stupid the plot is. But there's things in this movie that not only defy logic in screenwriting or other animated films, but when the movie makes up its own logic and then doesn't go through with it and breaks its own logic that it sets up, then this is overly stupid. I'll give you an example, because in the first movie, it was a big deal that Norm could speak human, because it was a hereditary thing. Because he was royalty, his grandfather could speak human, he can speak human. It's a rare thing in the first movie. Now in this movie, his son can speak human, so that still is in line with the same logic as this first film, because it's hereditary. When they get to see Olivia, was it Olivia? The two human girls in the first film, they meet up again because, of course, they have to reunite characters. And when they hear that Norm's son can speak human, they're excited. They're like, oh, wow, he can speak human too? Oh, wow, I can speak human? Yeah, apparently you can speak human. Holy crap, you can speak human.
Well, I'm impressed, Pop. It seems like you have some good friends here. What?
Quinn speaks human too?
He does.
I do?
Yes, you do.
He does? Oh, yeah, he does.
But then later on in the film, the same people that were excited that Norm's son could speak human, they show no emotion whatsoever or any surprise when suddenly this Chinese or Asian rabbit speaks human. And not only that, the fucking rabbit is is the head of the Chinese town bank. He's the richest animal alive. He runs a business. And no one's shocked about this.
More robbers, huh?
No, we're trying to stop the robbers. Just like you, Fong.
Hold up. You know this thing? Ow! Cut it out!
Both of you, stop. This is Fong, the face of the Bank of Chinatown. I've heard stories. Now I know they're true. You are a financial wizard.
Meh. It's all in the lucky foot.
Not only that, the little girl, the human girl, says something along the lines of, "Oh, I've heard rumors. Now I know they're true." What rumors? There's rumors that this rabbit runs a bank and he can talk? And you're not surprised that he can talk. So you weren't surprised. I mean, shouldn't you have not been surprised that the polar bear could talk in the first film? But they just write it off as no big deal. No big deal. So it's an Asian talking rabbit that runs a bank. And they even break the whole thing where it's possible rumors, because the mayor and everyone else seems to know that this rabbit runs the bank, because it's like, oh, here's the news. Look, Norm and Mr. Fong, because the rabbit's name is Mr. Fong, is like, oh, and those two, they found the burglars. They found the robbers. Here, it's national news. Look, let's celebrate. No one's surprised that he's a rabbit. And do I need to explain how dumb it is that Russians apparently want to steal ice from the North Pole? And how dumb it is that they say that ice from there is the purest form of water, when really it's not. I mean, isn't it salt water? Isn't distilled water the purest form of water? And then the whole cliched hockey match scenario is... This movie is fucking dumb. I felt like I was losing my mind watching this goddamn film. And those of you are like, oh, well, why are you getting so worked up about a kid's film? It's just a kid's film. All kids' films are stupid. No, only the stupid ones are stupid. There's some good animated films for all family. There's some good animated films just for kids that actually teach lessons, and it is good and decent and has quality to it. This film does not. And this is, of course, a cheaper film than Norm of the North, so the animation is even worse.
Geronimo!
Don't look down. Don't look down. Don't look down. Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. Yeah, that's high.
Now, granted, I saw this on my iPhone, so it was bad, but it felt a little bit more acceptable because I was watching it on my fucking iPhone. Now, I also had to keep in mind that some people could have possibly seen this in theaters, because if the trailer is to be believed, it did get a theatrical release somewhere. And I can only imagine on the big screen, it looks far worse. I had to keep that in mind as I was watching this goddamn thing. The lessons to be learned in this film is don't trust politicians and Russia is evil. At least those are the bigger picture things. As far as the smaller, more innocent lessons of the movie is, if you've done something wrong, always apologize. Okay, that doesn't need to be explained. I mean, we should know. Say you're sorry when bad things happen. We don't need a whole movie about that. And as long as you're fighting for something you believe in, you will always win. Even if you've never played hockey. You will always win a hockey match if you're fighting for your home. Those are the lessons that we can learn from Norm of the North, Keys to the Kingdom. This movie was awful. It was irritating. I would not wish this on anyone, not even the worst of enemies. But, you know what? I'm probably going to do a longer review of this because it demands it. And that way, I could share some of the suffering to others who are morbidly fascinated or curious about this god-awful film. I'm giving Norm of the North, Keys to the Kingdom, 0 stars. Yes, it deserves it. This is a 0-star movie. There was absolutely nothing good about this film. Nothing to take away from it. It was simply god-awful. It's gonna take a lot to dethrone this fucking polar bear from the worst movie of 2019. But have you seen Norm of the North, Keys to the Kingdom? Most likely you haven't. But you will eventually. Oh, you will. I will show you it. And if you like this video and you want to see more, please subscribe and check out my movie reviews or countdowns of this year or of previous years. As always, this is Bruce Gifford, and this was Just My Opinion.